Greetings, beloved. It's Brian Antonio here, and I've been wanting to share a series. I love themed entertainment, and it goes back a lot to a difficult upbringing, and to be at in those days like a Disneyland park with my great aunt, where I could feel safe and ask for the things I wanted, and everything was beautiful. That kind of helps me now, even as I deal with trauma. So, one of the things I wanted to be since I was a kid is an Imagineer. And so I decided, there's a long story why I'm not, or never even tried, but I figure nowadays, with the way life is for theme park designers, I would never want that job now. I won't say never, but I'm too old. So to go starting all over in a new career, but I don't need it. I can do it just for myself, for enjoyment. And so I'm going to let you in on a theme park I've been working on for a long time. Here we are. I'm a Midwest boy. I'm born and raised in St. Louis. In my 20s, I moved to Chicago. Was in Chicago 13 years. I eventually ended up back in St. Louis. Now I live on the border, New Mexico and El Paso and Chihuahua. So I started thinking about originally up near Chicago, because I felt like that was a great population center, and I knew we had this big competition right here. So I originally thought, I'm not going to compete with Six Flags Great America. I love Six Flags Great America. And what was really cool about Six Flags Great America, not only when I took some students there sometimes, that was really cool to help them get to experience that, but also when I got sober, one of my exes, he also had been sober, and he suggested we get a season pass to Six Flags. He loved roller coasters, and I love theme parks. And so we did. We would go up to Six Flags quite a bit with our season pass. So I know that park pretty well outside Chicago. And so I started looking around up here, and I found some parcels of land. Now, that's a forest preserve. They're not going to sell that. That's there on purpose. But I eventually I think I found some land over here somewhere. I forget where. But pretty quick I realized, and I thought, I'll do something that has a lot of indoor. And I've always wanted to do something around holidays. And so I thought, well, maybe something that's not like direct competition, but takes advantage of all of these tourist things up here to maybe be an add-on. But ultimately, I thought more and more about it. And I do like Illinois. I feel like it's a better, safer state to do business in than Missouri, my home state. And of course, St. Louis, my hometown, has Six Flags, which I grew up as Six Flags Over Great America. Now they call it Six Flags St. Louis. And of course, I know this park inside out. And again, when I moved back home to St. Louis, I did get a season pass for a couple years. And we know right now Six Flags is going through some stuff. The whole Cedar Fair merger and all this is going on. And some people say Six Flags St. Louis may not be on the chopping block, whatever. But once again, my thought was, I am not interested in making a roller coaster park, although I love roller coasters. But I love theme entertainment, and I really loved, like in Disneyland, Disney World back in the day, when you would have like these kind of transport rides that told a story, had scenic views, kind of magical places to look. But then then I'm thinking, okay, so you want to be near population center, and I'm thinking, well, Illinois has St. Louis on one end, and you got Chicago on the other end, right? There we go. And so those are your two major centers, but also you have lots of really cool Illinois cities, Alton, Quincy, Springfield. Lots of history, Grafton, Edwardsville. So I looked and I thought, okay, well, the St. Louis International Airport, Lambert, St. Louis, is right there. And it has Highway 70, which goes into downtown St. Louis and then comes across the river. You can see over by Granite City, etc. But also we have this outer belt, 270, that's easy to get to and comes straight across the bridge here, the famous Chain of Rocks Bridge in the St. Louis area. And so then, of course, you have the highway that goes to Chicago from St. Louis and then down to Memphis, and that's Highway 55. So all of a sudden I started looking, I said, wow, this is amazing. Right here is where 270 and 55 merge, and then it also becomes Highway 70, which will head you all the way across central Illinois and into Indiana, through Indianapolis, over to Ohio. And not too far down here is Highway 64, which also will go through southern Indiana and into, I think it goes into Kentucky, doesn't it? Yeah. So that's a lot of preamble. I did a lot of calculations and other stuff, but basically I was going with what I thought was important. And hey, one of the reasons I'm doing this is because I can do what I want. Now, of course, I don't know if any of this is for sale. I don't know if the locals would ever allow it. But the city of Edwardsville is a really cool city. It's a college city. There's the University of Illinois, Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville. And then the city limits kind of end where this development ends. And look at all this land. And I did a bunch of elevation checking and looking at draining and flooding. And you can see the green here and you can see the veins. It's all pretty much draining down to that larger green area to the highway. And then it moves south. Now, at first, I really liked this sportsman club here, and it's kind of beautiful, and the elevation is great here. There's not much elevation change in this part of Illinois, but it's kind of a smaller patch, and it's wooded, and the elevation changes are a little different, and this little water feature, is a little different, and there's a lot of residences that are kind of at every angle there, and then you got the highway. It's a hard cut. So I eventually looked over here, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. Look at all this farmland. And even when I looked at the farmland, in theory, when I started looking, it was really, really cheap. And I thought, this is really cool. I love this athletic field over here. Here's a road that crosses the highway, but up here is the interchange that leads from the highway to this Governor's Parkway. There's this big ridge view that comes down here. On the other side, the road that comes from the highway, this, where's the interchange? Is it here? No, here it is. So you have this little interchange here, and then you can take this Glen Crossing Road, and you can see it comes up Old Troy Road. So there are a couple ways to get here from the highways. Of course, the city of Edwardsville and the university are all up there. There you go, Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville. I thought, well, I'm just going to declare this where I spent I don't even know if it would have had to be $1 billion to buy this whole area here from Goshen Road, and I still even think from Governor's Parkway, you see that empty place there. And then down here from where the development stops, going all the way over to the highway, that Edwardsville YMCA Myers Center, I thought, well, that's something that we could always be in collaboration with them. I really liked the idea of having some athletic facilities as part of a park. It was all pretty abstract at the time. But that's how I settled on the place that I'm going to just declare that I bought for under $1 billion and then started land clearance and land getting all the land graded and all, I did kind of do a plan for how the water would flow. So that's how I ended up with years of this plan that I've done here outside Edwardsville, outside St. Louis, south of Springfield, way south of Chicago, about equidistant to Kansas City there. You got Iowa up there. Like I said, you got Memphis down here. You got the Ozarks and Oklahoma out Highway 44. So you got Nashville not too far. So what do you think? Being at the center of two major highways like that, close to a couple urban centers, not trying to compete with St. Louis, even if the Six Flags St. Louis doesn't stay open too much longer. Surely somebody will buy that and do something with it. But instead making a different kind of a park. Now I've always been more into a theme thing, and I don't even know if it would be like a big park at first. Now the next video, I think I will show you my plans.